vacation, actually, so check this out. I want to flex on y'all a little bit. So I am in Atlantis in the Bahamas, and so today on the podcast, it's very noisy out here, a little difficult to record. Hopefully the audio is not too terrible. It's very windy out here, but I'm going to just read this article that I wrote the other day. I actually published it. It's up on my website, and we're gonna read it and then just briefly discuss real quick what's going on. It's gonna be a short one today because, you know, I'm on vacation. I got things to do, but I'm gonna give this a little read through, and then I got some thoughts to share on the election. So give me bear with me one moment. Okay, so this, I called it the day after the election 2024. Yesterday, 130 million Americans went to the polls to vote for whichever candidate they thought would best take the country forward. At the top of the ticket were two of the most polarizing names to grace the ballot in decades, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. This election has caused strife and division among the people, opening old wounds and slicing open previously unexposed parts of our vulnerable underbellies. It has been nasty, with accusations of immorality, incompetence, and, in an incredibly sad example, literal bullets flying back and forth. The divide between Democrats and Republicans has grown deeper and wider, locking Americans into their entrenched, partisan ruts, incapable of civility or empathy towards their perceived foes. It is a sad state of affairs, but it does not have to be that way. Politics is a contact sport. There will always be barbed criticisms lobbed at one another, like so many Civil War cannonballs. That is just the nature of the game. But the competition does not need to extend to all aspects of life. If you find yourself treating family, friends, or even strangers with contempt due to their political affiliations, it is safe to say that you have given too much of your life over to the blood sport. Take a breath and realize that 80 million Americans who vote opposite you are still your parents, siblings, co-workers, and neighbors. If you do not, the person you are doing the largest disservice to is yourself. You will be depriving yourself of the opportunity to have meaningful relationships with anyone who challenges you. Effectively locking yourself into an ideological bubble might seem like a good idea, but by not allowing yourself to be pushed outside your comfort zone, your ideas will be as fragile as a person who lived their life in a clean room, the smallest speck of disagreement sending you into a full-blown mental anaphylaxis. There was a time, however difficult it is to believe, when politics did not rule our lives. Politicians were not celebrities, they were civil servants, and citizens did not venerate or demonize those in office. People used to be able to gather in common spaces without feeling the need to launch into a soliloquy on their tax policy or whatever social issue was trending on TikTok. Not every interaction with someone who disagrees with you is a debate. In fact, almost none of them need to be. It is possible to interact with other people, realize that you hold differing beliefs about a topic, and just accept it. Chances are you have more in common than not. It is just about finding common ground. This is in no way an argument for ignorance. It is wonderful that someone would want to be up to date on the inner workings of their congressman or the latest from the campaign trail, but realizing that there is more to life than the 24-hour news cycle is important. There will always be some issue or scandal that could be discussed. It is the job of the media to report on the news, and they cannot be begrudged for that. But the dissection of current events does not need to dominate social life. Regardless of the outcome, regardless of which candidate you support, half the country disagrees with you. No political party has a monopoly on truth, and neither party has ever demonstrated infallibility. The people on the other side of the aisle are not the enemy. They simply disagree with you. If that statement feels like an attack, or you find yourself saying, yeah, but those guys are way worse because ... then you are missing the point. The issue at hand is not whether one side is better than the other. Most people have already made up their minds on that point. It is, instead, what we should do the day after the election. How we move forward ultimately comes down to individual behavior. So instead of being bitter, try to meet your fellow Americans and the world at large with peace in your heart. Now, I wrote that, actually, initially I wrote that the day before the election, and then retroactively made it publish it the day after the election. So I changed a couple things around, but it was, and it's interesting because Donald Trump won, obviously. I'm happy about this. I'm not going to pretend I'm not. It was a good thing, I think, for the country that Kamala Harris did not become president. But it amazes me watching the way that people talk on the internet about exactly this problem. So Donald Trump wins, and immediately you go on the internet, and what do you see? You see people crediting a number of things for his victory. A lot of it being the racism and misogyny of the American people. Oh, it's because I can't believe hate won. All these hateful people out here, 80 million or 70 whatever million Americans are just so full of hate that they had to elect Donald Trump because they just don't like people. It's such an uncharitable and ridiculous, and actually, for the party that claims to be very sensitive to other people's feelings, it's offensive that that is what they think. They think so lowly that they are the moral arbiters up on high who get to speak the only moral truth known to man, and it only comes from those on the left. That the right can never have any moral credit or can never be right about something that the left is wrong about, because the right is just bad, evil people. This is exactly what I was talking about in this article, and you're seeing it every day. The amount of people who say, oh, I can't believe all the bigots won and that everyone is so hateful and I'm so ashamed of my American people. Well, you know, the only person in this scenario, in that scenario, that's doing it wrong is you. If you're that person who thinks that the Republican victory, and by the way, it was a gigantic victory. Donald Trump won all 7 of the swing states. It was as I jokingly predicted that he was going to win 50 states after the assassination attempt, but the reality is he did as well as he humanly could. There were 7 swing states in play. He won all of them. This was not a close election. He won walking away with it, and the Democrats still appear not to have learned their lesson. It's not, the American people didn't elect Donald Trump because they're full of hate and anger and they are bigoted against whatever, the LGBTQ, black, indigenous, pygmies. This is not why Donald Trump won. They won because they think Donald Trump will do better on the things that actually matter. It turned out that running on social issues is not going to win for the Democrats because people don't give a shit about social issues when their pocketbook hurts and when the world looks like it's in chaos. It turns out that people vote more on the economy, because it's always the economy, stupid, and the foreign problems than they do on whether or not there's an abortion law in the state of Texas. That turns out that that's not why people vote in national elections, and the Democrats have learned that in a resounding way, but I don't think they actually will take anything from the lesson. They're going to double down on this, and I can just see this rolling into a Republican victory that just continues for a minute. And it might not be the case, it might be a totally wrong prediction, but I could see that pathway forward. Historically, presidents always do bad in midterms. So you pop around to 2026 and Democrats will win, and then they'll say, look, the pushback against Donald Trump. That's just the way it always is historically. Even Barack Obama, who won significant and historic victories, he too lost in the midterms because no one likes the incumbents. That's just the way it is. If you're a Republican now, today, you should be hoping, beyond hope, that Donald Trump does well as president. That all the things that he says he's going to do, that it goes well. And if you're a Democrat, you should also hope that Donald Trump does well. That is what we should be doing. It is, if Kamala Harris had won, I would not be happy. I did not want Kamala Harris to win. I thought her policies would be bad for America. I do not think she is a qualified or capable leader in any regard. But I would hope that I was wrong and she would do great and America would thrive. That's what I would hope. I would hope I was wrong and Kamala Harris would have been great. If you're a Democrat, you should hope that Donald Trump does well. If you are rooting for Donald Trump to fail, you are doing the wrong thing. And I hope you realize that. If you are talking about the 80 million Americans who voted for Republicans, and you are acting like they are dogs and who are beneath you, then you're the bad person in that scenario. It's not the person who voted for Donald Trump, it's you. You're the bad person. And you need to understand this. These people, they disagree with you. Now, Democrats disagree with me on a lot of things. There are certain key issues that I think make someone an immoral person on the other side of the aisle. But that doesn't extend to 77 million people. The people the out-and-out communists who want to burn down the system, I don't like them, I don't respect them. And that's because we're not talking about differences of opinion, we're talking about differences in kind. We're talking about people who have no respect for the system. They don't want to change the system, they want to fundamentally break the system. This is a different thing than what we're talking about when we say, oh, well, they like more social benefits. Oh, okay. Well, I like less social benefits. You like more social benefits. Oh, they want more schedule. They want more funding for the Department of Education. Well, I want less. Okay, so that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the people who say the entire system needs to be brought down, blown up, and started over, and we're going to redesign it all. That's something that we're not talking about. We're talking about the average person, and the average person who believes, oh, the Democrats like this, the Republicans like that, and that's why I like Democrats, or that's why I like Republicans. And you just have to realize we all have to live together. We can't pack up and move. That just doesn't work that way. Every state has a large number of Democrats, a large number of Republicans. There is not a way that we're going to just split this country in half. It just doesn't work. So you've got to learn to be nice and be respectful. And it all comes, like I said in the end of this, it all comes from your individual behavior. It amazes me. So I try, and in the comments in my show, first of all, I don't comment on other people's stuff on Facebook or YouTube. I don't really comment just to go on there and be rude or nasty to regular everyday people. Sometimes on Twitter I can be a little snarky, that is true, and I've tried to work on that, but sometimes I do fall into it. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I think it's so amazing to me how comfortable people are with just going on to random people's pages and just being the most rude and ignorant people possible. So on an individual level, just don't do that. That's the step. You see someone who disagrees with you, you go, all right, and then just let it go. You don't need to engage with every person every person you disagree with on the internet. You don't need to do it, and it's not good. Get off the internet. Jeez, go do something. Look at this. Hold on. Let's show you again. All right? Get off the internet. Go do something fun. I was out of the country for the freaking election. I did vote, and I voted early. But the internet's not real life, people. All right? Be nice. You would be nice in person. Most people would. I'm nice in person with almost everybody I meet. You always tell people I take the Roadhouse rule and I take it seriously. All right? Be nice until it's time to not be nice. If someone is disrespectful or rude, you can disengage that person. Okay, I'm not going to talk to you. And if they're physically physicality is a different subject. But people who are rude, okay, see you later, guy. I don't need to deal with you. I'm not going to in person deal with someone who's rude. And I do the same thing online. I just go, okay. Actually, the only snarky response I tell people when they start getting unhinged on the internet is seek therapy. That tends to be what I tell them. You're obviously going through some personal demons if you're jumping on random people's internet pages and just saying all sorts of crazy unhinged things. I just tell you seek therapy, and that's the last response you're getting from me. So, but anyway, the whole point of the entire thing, just be nice. Be nice, people. We all live together. We all got to work together. We all got to commingle in certain spaces and share everything. And the reality is there's more to life than politics. There should be. And you need to go realize that. The fact that somebody is a Democrat, someone's a Republican, that's not a reason to dislike them. That is a terrible reason to dislike them. And the reality is you should grow up. Oh, you voted for Donald Trump, I'm not talking to you, you're a bad person. Well, no, you're a child. That's what you are. You're a bad person if you are going to write off somebody due to their political persuasion. Because Donald Trump, despite what the Democrats say, is not Hitler. And in 4 years, when there's another election and somebody else takes over and there weren't concentration camps and internment camps and Donald Trump didn't suspend the Constitution and use the military to round up his political opponents, I hope that the people who said all this nonsense are going to feel really silly. That is what I hope, because you got to realize it's not going to stop tomorrow. The United States idea, this machine, is not going to just roll over for one person, even if that person is a person like Donald Trump. And like I said, anyway, we're getting off topic here. Be nice. That's the message for today. Be nice. Enjoy your life. There's a lot of beautiful places in the world. Go see them. And I know it's a short one, but hey, I'm on vacation. Okay, what do you expect from me? I can't be there for you all the time. Okay, I'm making an effort here on vacation to talk to you. And I hope you guys are having a good time and enjoying the results of the election. I'm sure most of the people who watch the show regularly are. And I will catch you guys next Friday.